Hello and welcome back to Through the Trapdoor. I'm Katie.
And I'm Emily.
And this is our podcast where we read you Harry Potter fan fiction.
We finally have a microphone holder.
We're super excited. We're very comfortable on this couch.
Yeah, I can't see your face anymore.
Yeah, but that's all right.
I could also always put the microphone in front of us and not behind the couch.
Yeah, well, trial and error until we get it all where we want it to be.
Yeah.
You know, we're working. We're just slowly moving up.
Yeah, slowly.
Slowly. All right, guys, so we're in Chapter 6, the end.
Oh, no.
The conclusion. So what we know, since we have not recapped at all, I realized, until right now.
I mean, it's only 6 episodes. Well,
That's true.
It's 5 episodes because we combined chapters 2 and 3.
That's right. But we know that Draco was Broomstick.
Yes.
And Harry now knows that Draco was Broomstick.
He suddenly realized.
Because he, last minute, added Narcissa and Draco to the list of people who can send him owls.
Yes. Or visit his property or something. Something along those lines.
Yeah. Because it sounded like whatever charms they put up, like, made it so no birds flew over his house.
Basically, yes.
Which is, like, kind of upsetting because I love birds. Harry waited the next day for the prophet tell-all to run, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen the next day either. Instead, Harry received a package. There was a selection of business cards so simple they could only be very, very expensive. They didn't say what they were for exactly, but he thought he could guess. There was also a book. On the cover, the Colosseum was continuously built and then left to ruin. Harry set it aside. That was all. A few days later, Harry finally opened the book. A note fell out and Harry grabbed it. His hands were suddenly sweaty, but when he opened it, there was only one line in Malfoy's neat flowing script. I would appreciate it if you would recommend a recent Muggle history of this time period. So Harry did. He wrapped up a favorite and walked it to the owlry in town and didn't think too hard about where he was sending it. When he got back home, he shuffled the business cards and flued the first address in the stack. He talked to a very polite and very discreet secretary who didn't seem to care at all that he was Harry Potter and booked 3 months' worth of appointments right off the bat. See, that's the part that I have a problem with right there. Like, you haven't even met this doctor yet?
This therapist, yeah.
And you're just going to book 3 appointments? What if you hate them?
Yeah, then you just have all these appointments and, like...
Then you have to cancel them all.
That's just anxiety-inducing.
Yes. Oh, my God.
Ugh.
You need to have one appointment, go, okay, I think I like them enough to book another one.
Yeah, and I feel like most therapists understand that, like, hey, I'm going to book one appointment, I'm going to come, I'm going to see how the session goes.
I'm going to see if we click, because you might sit down and you might have completely different ideas about how things should go.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's just not good.
That's very stressful to me. It's just 3 months worth of appointment with a therapist you've never met.
Yeah. I think we're going to pause and try to move the microphone. I think it will sound better if we set it over here.
All right.
All right, we're back. We feel like we can see each other, so I don't know if we sound better, but
Well, it works better because now we can see each other's faces.
I can see Katie, so that's the big thing.
Yeah, that's the main reason.
It was super awkward to just not see Katie's face.
Yeah, just to be staring at a microphone.
Yeah.
Then he slept and moped and thought about Draco Malfoy. Draco Malfoy, who he'd hated and liked, but mostly hated. Andromeda and Narcissa had tea. It went well enough. Harry supposed because they did it again. Andromeda was furious after that one. But when she calmed down, she told Harry she was going to introduce Teddy to her sister and she wanted him to be there.
So it sounds like normal sister bickering.
Right, like you had one fine tea, then you have another one, then you argue, and then you're like, well, you're still going to meet my nephew, or my grandson,
yes.
Your nephew, so show up.
Yeah.
And his godfather's going to be there, and I know it's Harry Potter, and I know that bothers you, but tough.
I feel like Narcissa is fine with Harry.
Well, yeah, because she did kind of save him.
Yes.
He spent the next week worrying about whether Draco would be there but being too scared to ask.
Does sound like true Harry.
Also, after what you just went through with Draco/Broomstick, fair. He wasn't there. He probably hadn't been invited. It was only Narcissa, Andromeda, Teddy, and Harry. For a painfully stiff hour at Andromeda's house, Harry found he was rather disappointed at Draco's absence. He didn't know what he wanted to say, but they needed to talk, didn't they?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Since Draco just kind of like took off.
Yeah, just was like, you know who I am. Oh no! Fly away!
Yeah. Like, why didn't you address it at all, Draco?
Yeah. Jeez, that thought stuck, and 2 days later, Harry apparated to the manor.
He apparated to Malfoy Manor.
That is...
Ballsy.
Yeah! That's a move!
Listen, it's all or nothing. He's in love with Draco, and he has to go tell Draco.
Yeah, he just was like, I'm just gonna do it. And he just apparated. He didn't think about the last time he'd been there. He didn't think about how the house elf who answered the door wasn't Dobby.
It wouldn't be Dobby ever.
I mean, you freed Dobby in your second year at Hogwarts.
Would not be Dobby.
Yeah, no.
It's been literally almost 10 years at this point, Harry.
Yeah. He didn't think about what a horrible idea that this was and what he was thinking. Really, while he sat and waited in a newly renovated parlor, he drank tea that was brewed absolutely perfectly and mused on how hilarious it was that he'd prefer it to be a bit overbrewed. You like bitter tea?
I don't.
Overbrewed tea is not great.
Mm-mm.
Hilarious. Absolutely. The laugh that lodged in the back of his throat was not hysteria.
Sure, Harry.
Sure.
Tell yourself that.
It was not hysteria. It sounds like you're having a manic episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Draco didn't know what to expect. Potter had sent him a book, so he might not hate his guts, but they hadn't communicated past that. Narcissa hadn't said anything about seeing the boy wonder at Aunt Andromeda's, and Draco hadn't asked because he still hadn't told his mother where he disappeared to, except to reassure her that it had been perfectly legal. His mother's nightmares were of him in Azkaban. She didn't have to say it for him to know it was true. Draco stood in the doorway and watched Potter fiddle with a teacup as if it held the secrets of the universe. You know divination's a load of griffin dung, don't you? He sneered. The voice shook more than he would have liked. Potter's head popped up. His mouth flopped open, but no words came out. Draco sat carefully across from him. Well? Potter shook his head. I don't really know. I just thought we should talk. Draco narrowed his eyes. Did someone tell you that? It seemed the sort of thing his therapist would say, at least. No, Potter shrugged. Only, we're gonna meet again eventually, and maybe we don't want to talk about you being an owl in front of other people.
Fair point, Harry.
Also, very polite to try to have this conversation in private.
Yes. Normally, he's like a brick wall.
Yeah, and he's just like, yo, you're an owl. You were in my house for like 8 days. What gives? Crowded room of people stare at Draco.
Yep.
You're an owl?
That's exactly what would have happened in the books.
Potter talked about meeting again so casually. Draco hadn't realized he was concerned Potter would avoid him for the rest of their lives until that weight lifted.
Because you're in love.
Because you clearly adore him. Gosh.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a registered animagus. He shrugged. It doesn't matter. Potter raised an eyebrow. Only you ate owl treats, and that seems like the sort of thing you wouldn't want me to bring up. Draco grimaced. Like you're one to talk. Potter tightened his grip on the chair. It would be decent of you to keep all that to yourself, but there's nothing I said that I'm actually ashamed of. Draco stiffened. I rather meant you eating an owl treat.
We all eat weird things sometimes.
Yes, you know. Oh, Potter blushed. Well, you shouldn't feed something to anything you wouldn't eat. Also, Draco stopped him. Also, I know the distinction between having a crush at 14 and still liking someone now. Well, good. Potter looked up at Draco earnestly. His eyes really were very green.
Draco.
Noticing his very green eyes.
It's because you're in love with him, Draco.
Please. I don't hate you anymore. I think that's important to clarify. I don't really know what I feel about you, but it's not hate. Draco pursed his lips. My feelings about you are also complicated. Potter nodded enthusiastically, as if they'd just agreed on a favorite Quidditch team.
Okay.
Well, good. Good talk, Malfoy. I'll see you around.
Okay.
Draco nodded dumbly and watched Potter flee from the room.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, I would run.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good talk. Bye.
Bye. Bye. There is a little ... so there has been a passage of time or a change in scenery. I don't know which yet.
All right.
The next time Draco saw Potter was at Potter's house. It was the first time Draco would officially meet Teddy, and he greeted Andromeda politely, and when his mother insisted Potter call her Narcissa, he supposed he had to give his given name too. It was tense and awkward, but Draco got to hold Teddy, and the toddler turned his hair white blonde before he bounced over to the sofa and switched to blue. The sofa really did look nice, and the curtains were a soft yellow.
So much better than that brown
With the cherub pattern.
cherub, deer, and or rabbit pattern.
Oh yes, that's right. Also, how poorly was it drawn that you couldn't tell the difference between a deer and a rabbit?
But you knew that they were cherubs.
Yeah, that's real disturbing.
At no point did they actually say the curtains are brown. I'm just assuming that with that horrendous pattern, they'd be a browny, burnt orange, umber color.
That's exactly what I pictured.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it.
Yeah.
I feel that. You know owls are colorblind, he said to Harry as he watched Teddy do his best to break his neck. Sounds like a toddler.
Yeah.
The black-haired wizard blinked. Really? Draco laughed and Harry shook his head ruefully. I can't believe your sense of style is still better than mine when you couldn't see color. Draco stilled. Was that a compliment? Harry muttered something non-committal and scooped his godson into the air. Harry pulled a platter of egg salad sandwiches out of the fridge and Draco raised an eyebrow.
Oh, what a surprise.
What a surprise.
Harry.
It's the only thing I can cook, Harry protested as he elbowed Draco, but had no force.
Flirting.
Totally flirting. My goodness. He then backed away to the opposite end of the kitchen. Draco understood. He didn't know what Potter had been thinking with that physical contact either. Flirting.
It's called flirting.
And sometimes you do it, and then you go, oh no, what did I just do? And then you have to run away.
Yep.
Yep, because then you feel horribly embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, oh no, they're going to hate me. And then you have to run away.
Yeah. It's just how flirting works sometimes.
Exactly. After they all settled at the table and completely exhausted the topic of the weather, Andromeda looked around for other conversation starters. Whatever happened to your owl? Harry glanced at Draco. It was temporary. He's gone now. Really? Narcissa drawled. Harry and Draco both cringed. What kind of owl was it? Harry tried to answer vaguely, but Andromeda frowned at him. It was a barn owl.
Andromeda's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, Harry? It was a barn owl! A barn owl!
Come on, dude. They're very distinctive, Harry.
See? Drama's like, it's a barn owl.
Come on, dude.
God, Harry.
Open your eyes.
Godson's gonna be an idiot because of you. She probably didn't go that far.
Yeah.
I'm just being mean.
Yeah, well, we love Harry, but also hate him.
Yes.
Harry mumbled something about growing up with muggles, and Draco resigned himself to a long round of questioning when he and his mother returned home. Another change of scenery. Draco's mother did not, in fact, corner and interrogate him. It was worse. She didn't bring it up. No, but she politely shot down every other topic of conversation until Draco was nearly crawling out of his skin and he brought it up.
That is a really effective way to get someone to talk about it.
I love that.
That is fantastic.
No, I don't want to talk about that. No, I'm alright. No, I don't want to talk about that either. Oh, no. Yeah, the weather's fine. Oh, fine, I'm the owl! I told you I was attacked by a thestral and didn't have my wand, so it took me a few days to get better and come home. Narcissa Malfoy hummed an affirmation. Her eyes did not leave her novel. Draco sighed. I actually crash-landed in Potter's yard. Did you now? Draco's mother looked up, but she didn't reach for her bookmark. You don't have a magic bookmark? Your book just doesn't save your place magically?
Maybe she likes muggle ones.
Magic books better have magic bookmarking spots.
It could, like, mark the word that you were at and everything. That'd be magical.
That'd be great.
I'd love it.
Yes, and he was very nice to me on account of thinking I was an owl. His mother didn't say anything. Draco gritted his teeth. And that was very nice, actually. Sounds like it was a positive experience. Yes, except then Granger went and realized I couldn't be an owl, and he paused. Actually, did you know you and I are on the cleared list of people who can send Potter mail? Draco didn't know where that fit into Harry's complicated feelings. He did testify at our trials, Draco's mother reminded him. Yes, Draco agreed, but he wasn't sure what the difference between not wanting someone to go to prison for life and wanting them to send you mail was, but he rather thought there was one.
I would agree.
But also at the same time, I can see why he would, if he was testifying at their trials that they shouldn't go to prison forever and be, entrapped with, if they still have Dementors at Azkaban, which I don't think they would at this point.
No, I don't think they do.
I mean, I would kind of expect a family like that to send me a thank you note.
Yeah.
I'd be like, well, they're not going to send me a bunch of random crap, so yeah, fine. If they're going to send me something that's going to be important, I'm going to leave them on my cleared list.
True.
It wasn't really important, though, compared to the other revelations. He sucked in a deep breath, and he thought I was fit when we were 14. Why are you telling your mother?
I feel like he has the kind of relationship where he tells his mother everything.
I know, but still. Draco's mother smoothed down her page and raised a perfect eyebrow in what would look like confusion if you didn't know Narcissa Malfoy very well. Well, yes, you've always been a handsome boy. He was jealous? No, he wanted to snog me. Draco was rather putting words into Harry's mouth, but he wanted to snog Harry at 14, so the spirit of it was more or less true.
Draco.
Well, the truth comes out.
Yeah, I really like that so much of the story is written from Draco's perspective.
I know.
It is very nice.
It is. It's a nice redemption arc for Draco.
Yes.
Well, does he still want to? Narcissa did not ask if Draco wanted to snog Harry. It wasn't really necessary. She'd always been horribly good at reading her son. Draco's negative was too obvious. He hates me. Not completely, but enough that he doesn't like me, and he preferred me as an owl. Pretty sure he just randomly apparated to your house solely to tell you he didn't hate you.
That's exactly what just happened.
Like, he apparated, knocked on your door, had tea with you, and was like, I don't hate you, just so you know.
And then he ran away because he's awkward.
And then flirted with you at his house.
He likes you.
Like, yeah, he still wants to kiss your face.
Yeah.
Jeez. Narcissa did not argue, even though Draco found he desperately wanted her to. Why did he like you as an owl? I was nice, Draco answered morosely.
Maybe you should work on that then, Draco.
Maybe you should just be nice?
That would probably help.
Narcissa raised an eyebrow. Draco huffed. Well, mostly. He thought I was prissy and difficult, but he liked it because I hadn't ever done anything bad, he finished softly. There were some things one didn't say to one's mother, even if she'd been there too. Draco showed up on Harry's doorstep, clutching the Muggle history book like a lifeline. I finished this. It was all right. He sneered half-heartedly. Harry blinked. Would you like another one? Draco nodded, and Harry motioned him inside. He shuffled a few stacks and pulled out 2 books. You really should get a bookshelf, Draco blurted. Harry smiled softly. You'll have to pick it out then.
Harry.
Draco could feel himself blushing, which only made him blush harder. Owls didn't blush, he thought furiously. I didn't even know what color you made the curtains, but I would still be willing to help. Draco stared determinedly at Harry's left ear. Then he remembered that he'd bit that ear. What in the world had he been thinking? And instead fixed on the books in Harry's hands. He reached for them, ready to run, but Harry pulled the books back. You can take both, or you can stay for a bit and decide which you like best. Draco thought that was a very silly idea because he'd end up reading both eventually, but he also thought it was absolutely brilliant. I need to try your couch, I suppose. So you didn't sit on the couch the whole time you were there last time?
No, he hid in the kitchen because Harry touched him.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. I just completely forgot. Harry grinned. I can make lunch. Draco narrowed his eyes. Chicken or egg salad? I'll have you know I bought sliced turkey.
Ooh.
Draco rolled his eyes. Ask Andromeda or Molly to teach you how to cook. Can you cook? Draco huffed. No, but I don't try to either.
Fair.
Draco has house elves.
Yeah, he has a house elf. He doesn't need to cook.
No.
Also, he uses magic like a regular wizard.
Yeah. Harry shrugged. I'll learn eventually. For now, I'm pretty good at ordering takeout. Draco sank into the couch, not entirely sure if he'd ever make it back out. Harry hummed and made sandwiches. He didn't say anything else, not even when he sat a plate on the couch next to Draco. He wandered outside with his own. But when Draco picked up his sandwiches, it was cut into a crown.
Aw.
Oh, just like he did for Broomstick. Also, Harry, why are you going outside? Why don't you just sit down on the couch?
He's being so awkward right now.
Draco nibbled at a corner and set his book aside and followed Harry outside. The black-haired wizard was sat at a rickety metal table. Draco leaned against the doorframe. You should try growing flowers. Harry looked up in surprise. You move like a cat. Owl, actually. They're also quite silent. Harry smiled. I'll update my similes then. Malfoy nodded. Flowers, though. He gestured to the bare patio and the sad patch of mud Harry had seemed to call a garden. Harry looked around and grimaced. I thought herbs and vegetables would be practical for all the cooking you do.
Obviously, Draco.
Draco let his disbelief be shown on his face. Harry ran his hand through his hair. I want to cook more, he mumbled softly enough that Draco had trouble hearing him. Draco shrugged. All right then. Does it mean you can't have a nice outdoor area to eat in? You could put a few pots of begonias out here, trellis some clements on the shed, foxglove by the side of the house. This is south facing, so I think that'll be fine. Harry was watching him ramble. Draco blushed. The gardens had always been a favorite part of the manor, and the part least tarnished by the stay of the Dark Lord. They'd still been trashed by rampaging werewolves, of course, but Draco has thrown himself into restoration with an enthusiasm he hadn't been able to summon for the house itself. Harry leaned forward, a strange light in his eye. What's your favorite flower? Draco thought for a moment. Tulips, I suppose. I rather think I prefer peonies, though. Oh. Harry nodded decisively. I'll plant both. Draco stood up straight, startled. What? Why? Harry shrugged and grinned. Because I want to. Harry's eyes shuddered. He shrugged mushily. Planted my garden, I guess. Draco refused to fidget as he stared Harry down. The black-haired wizard toyed with the cuff of his shirt and as he avoided Draco's gaze. I thought, Harry finally lifted his bright green eyes, I thought we could be friends. Draco did not ask if Harry was also planting Granger and Weasley's favorite flowers. He didn't particularly want to give him the idea. Draco winced internally. Jealousy was never a good idea. It certainly wasn't friendly. We were never particularly good at being friends, Draco reminded the other wizard. We could be, Harry insisted stubbornly. We could be friends. Even after Draco's chest hurt. He didn't want to remind Harry of this either, but he'd rather doubted he'd forgotten. Draco hadn't. Even after everything? Harry pushed back his chair and stood. The movement put him closer to Draco than he'd apparently planned, and he started to move back. Then he stopped. His jaw was firm. Yes, he insisted. Yes, everything. Voldemort and Dumbledore and everything. Draco looked into those blazing green eyes. Harry was shorter than him, but he didn't seem it. You can't just make it go away. Potter was so bloody stubborn. Harry's face softened. No, we can talk about it. We will. We can go to couples therapy, even, but it doesn't matter. Draco's throat seized up. Couples therapy? Well, that was a little bit of a slip, huh, Harry?
Oh, Harry.
Harry finally took a step back, running his hand through his hair and blushing. I mean, I'm sure it's a thing for friends, too. Yes, Draco agreed faintly. He narrowed his eyes. But you don't actually want to be friends. Harry straightened. Yes, I do, he sounded affronted. Draco shook his head. No, you don't. Because you thought I was attractive in 4th year, and you still do. Harry grimaced. I do want to be friends, though I won't make you uncomfortable. Draco felt a small smile growing. I'm sure a little discomfort would be worth it, he leered. Then frowned. Too much too fast, wasn't it? A wide-eyed Harry nodded in agreement. They shifted awkwardly for a few moments before Harry's head shot up. You just hit on me! Badly, but...
Oh, thank you, Harry.
Oh, honey. You were so behind. Draco resigned the urge to apparate away. He thought the crippling shame might be worth waiting for the end of Harry's thought process to work itself out. You didn't mean that, right? Harry was right up in his space again. He just stood up and was like in his face, like, did you mean that? Did you mean to hit on me? Was that intentional?
Obviously, Harry, you don't just accidentally hit on people.
And that doesn't just happen. Draco's face was in flames. Harry didn't need to plant bloody tomatoes, he thought bitterly. Not as worded exactly, but the sentiment that I also find you attractive is correct, he said tensely. Harry's eyes were slightly glazed. Draco resigned the urge to shake him. I find you attractive now, not in fourth year, he paused and amended. Not solely in fourth year. Harry's lips were parted slightly. Draco couldn't tear his eyes away. It's like facing down a bloody Gorgon. When you get all formal, Harry breathed, it's kind of hot.
Oh, Harry.
Oh, and then he kissed him. Draco squeaked, and Harry drew back immediately. Sorry, he cursed. I completely misread that. I'm so sorry, and I just said I wouldn't make you feel uncomfortable. Draco grabbed his arms and pulled his face to look at him. You didn't misread that, he said swiftly. I was just surprised. Typically, that is what happens when you kiss someone out of nowhere.
Yes.
They're often surprised.
Yes.
Harry leaned in again with a soppy smile, and Draco held him back by the shoulders, which was both physically and emotionally difficult. He wasn't quite sure why he was preventing Harry Potter from kissing him, but I still need to know what this is. Harry frowned. Nogging? Yes, no, Draco gestured between their chests. There wasn't much room. Us, do you just like the way I look? It came out more pleading than Draco was comfortable with, and he looked stubbornly to the side, and Harry pulled his chin back, eyes serious. We don't know each other very well yet, but you were a good owl, and I think you're a good person too, and I'd like to get to know you better. All of you. Not just, he blushed, not just the extremely good-looking package.
Now they're flirting very heavily.
Yes, very heavily. And obviously.
Yep.
Harry took a deep breath and pressed a closed-mouth kiss to the edge of Draco's mouth, and then stepped back. Draco Malfoy, I'd like to date you. Harry's tone was so businesslike, Draco automatically stuck a hand out and started to pull it back, but Harry caught it with a grin. Deal? Deal. They just shook it. It's a business deal.
Are they playing Deal or No Deal?
Like, it's just very busy. I'd like to take you on a date. Deal. Like, what?
Okay.
They stood there for a minute, holding hands, before Harry started to stiffen. Draco raised an eyebrow. He did not let go of Harry's hand. We should go on a date, Harry said firmly. Well, I think that's what you proposed about 4 lines ago, Harry.
Yes, Harry, remember?
Before the awkward handshake that ended in deal, deal.
Mm-hmm.
Draco shrugged nonchalantly, as if he had not put an inordinate amount of time into fantasizing about Muggle films or one-on-one Quidditch games. Something Potter had said either trumped his previous plans, however, they would keep, he hoped. I suppose we could try to cook something and order takeout when it's inevitably a failure. Harry grinned. That sounds brilliant. It was. The end.
It was adorable.
That was so cute.
It was a good story.
It was. A lot happened in that last chapter, though.
Yeah, like, I feel like it was a lot of, like, nothing for the first 5 chapters, and then all of a sudden everything ended, or happened in the ending chapter.
Yes. The whole story probably could have been that chapter.
Yeah.
and maybe, like, the 2 chapters beforehand.
Yeah.
They could have definitely made that, like, 3 chapters long.
Probably.
It was adorable, though.
It was.
I thoroughly enjoyed that.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Yes. Yes, I don't think we have anything else for this evening.
No, probably not. All right. See you guys next week.
See you next week.
Thank you so much for joining us on our journey through the trap door.
Please leave us a review on Facebook or iTunes. It would literally mean the world to us.
It really would.
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Through the Trapdoor 16 or on Twitter at The Trapdoor.
And please send us an email at throughthetrapdoor16@gmail.com with any story suggestions. And as always, join us again next Saturday as we travel through the trapdoor.